Thank you so much, Mr. Dennis, for making time for us on NDTV. How likely is the US actually heading towards a recession, considering the unexpected market behavior? And how should investors actually brace for the coming months?
Well, I think the chances of recession have definitely increased and increased very significantly. I'm not sure we can actually say will be a recession at this point. I think it's probably a 40 to 50% chance, but it's obviously gone up significantly, as indicated by things like consumer confidence, the ISM Services Index, the softness of retail sales in January. The employment report was okay, it wasn't great. But I think the best indicator that things are deteriorating is the the Atlanta Fed's so-called nowcast estimate, which at the moment is calling for something like a minus 2.5% annualized GDP data point for Q1. Now, of course, that could change as more data comes in. But I think the main reason why the markets are going down still here is because of the risk of recession now, against a background where there's massive uncertainty, as is very clear, on who's going to get tariffs put on them, how much, when, will they be taken off, just huge uncertainty, which companies don't like above all. Meanwhile, I'm not sure the Fed has got a lot of room to cut interest rates at this point because of inflation. So I think it's all combining here to give us a very nasty market. And I don't think we've necessarily hit bottom quite yet.
In fact, Mr. Dennis, Shelby McFadden mentioned that the current administration's policies in the US could lead to, quote, pain. Do you agree with this assessment? And how do these policies actually compare to those of previous administrations in terms of their potential to trigger a recession?
Well, I mean, nobody wants a recession, and I don't suppose President Trump wants a recession, but he has freely admitted, as you mentioned in his television interview, the economy may have some periods of turbulence. And so I think that the policies that we've seen taken by the new administration, especially to do with tariffs, above all, as I say, the uncertainty over tariffs, just make the recession a much more realistic possibility. Now, very few administrations would come into office and within 6 weeks would do things that really raise the risk of recession in an economy, unless you were dealing with a huge inflation problem, which you're not in the US. So clearly, there's a loss of confidence in the Trump administration, in my view, on the part of the markets anyway. And the nub of the issue, sorry to repeat myself, is the uncertainty over the tariff situation worldwide. We are apparently, it looks like, heading for something like a global trade war. And the US economy doesn't like that. It won't benefit from that. And frankly, in the short term, President Trump doesn't seem to care.
Well, in fact, the drop in major tech stocks like Tesla and Apple has investors worried, especially since these companies are considered a key driving force behind the US economy. In fact, many are arguing, Mr. Dennis, that this is a stark early sign of a broader economic slowdown, but we still have some who say it's just a temporary market correction. Let's see how this pans out. Thank you so much for joining us with your comments on NDTV.